This movie has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics are calling it one of the best movies of the year. It is the best Transformers movie we've ever received, and this is what my friend thought of the movie after we came out of it last night. What did you think of Bumblebee?
It's trash.
I guess he's allowed to be wrong. My name is Tom, and this is my review for the brand new movie, Bumblebee. But before we get into today's review, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there and ring that notifications bell so that you never miss out on my take on all things movies. Now, this is, of course, my take on Bumblebee, but I want to know if you've seen Bumblebee or are you looking forward to seeing Bumblebee. Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your take on this movie is, drop it down in the comment section below and let's carry on this discussion. So Bumblebee is the first Transformers movie to not be directed by Michael Bay. This movie is directed by the director of Kubo and the Two Strings, a movie that came out last year that I actually quite enjoyed, and stars Haley Steinfeld and John Cena, and they discover this Transformer that's come to Earth. I will say I definitely agree with everybody else, except for my friend, of course, that this movie is the best Transformers movie we've ever gotten. I was never a huge Transformers guy, like I didn't grow up with the Transformers. I enjoy the first Michael Bay directed Transformers movie. I think that's a good movie. I don't think it's great or amazing or anything, but the subsequent movies after that were just constant letdowns. I didn't bother seeing the last two that came out. But I was really excited for Bumblebee because they said, we're doing a Bumblebee movie, and I thought, that sounds like a horrible idea. Then they said Travis Knight was directing it, and then I got curious. Then they released the trailer, the first trailer that came out, and then I got legit excited about it. So I walked in to see Bumblebee last night, and I'm very happy with this movie. Just the opening scene alone is better than the entirety of any other Transformers live-action movie in history. The opening scene alone just blows away anything Michael Bay ever did with those Transformers movies. The opening scene might actually be my favorite thing about Bumblebee. The other really important thing about this movie that I really, really respected and really, really liked was that they made Bumblebee a character. He wasn't just a big CGI thing secondary to the humans in the story. Bumblebee felt like a real character. He felt like a real presence while he was there. Not just because the CGI looked really good, you just felt this connection between him and Haley Steinfeld's character, Charlie. And at the heart of this movie, it really is just a story about a girl and her car, who happens to be a giant robot also, but still, it's really just a story about a girl and her car. And it's a really sweet story. This movie is very sweet, very charming. It's got a lot of heart to it. I think the biggest difference, aside from the, good characters in this movie to Michael Bay's Transformers, is that with the action scenes, when the robots, the Transformers, are fighting each other, you can actually see what's going on. You can actually see, okay, that Transformer is fighting that Transformer, he's doing this, okay, he's kicking him in the face. And unlike, the Michael Bay Transformers movies, where in a lot of those action scenes, you can't tell what the hell's going on. It's just CGI clumps together moving around on screen. It's just vacuous action. And there's none of that in Bumblebee. All the action has a narrative purpose. And action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. And the action in this movie is probably one of this movie's greatest strengths. This movie has a lot of good things going for it. And that includes the humor and the jokes. I thought this movie was incredibly funny. Unlike Michael Bay's Transformers, and again, we're going to be comparing it a lot to those Transformers movies because I think it's relevant to keep bringing up. In the Michael Bay Transformers movies, his idea of humor was to have a little tiny Transformer with little tiny Transformer balls humping Megan Fox's leg. That's not funny. Unless you're my friend Taylor, who I saw it with last night, and he thinks that's funny. But that's not funny to me. That's just stupid. Bumblebee, there's a lot of jokes, there's a lot of humor. Some of them don't quite land, I feel like, the way they wanted them to, but I found the movie incredibly funny. More jokes landed with me than didn't. And John Cena is actually a big part of that. I've watched a lot of reviews for Bumblebee, a lot of the early reviews, because this movie doesn't come out till the 20th. I was lucky to see an advanced showing of it. But I've seen a lot of reviews and a lot of critics say that, John Cena was probably the weakest part of this movie. John Cena is not a thespian. John Cena is not the greatest actor in the world. But I will say that I actually really quite like John Cena in this movie. I actually like John Cena as an actor and as a performer in general. Like, I saw Blockers early on in the year, and a lot of people thought John Cena was the weakest part of that movie as well. I actually found him to be one of the strongest points of Blockers, and I actually think he's really good in this movie. He has some funny lines. Yes, he has some cheesy lines and some really, you know, movie dialogue lines. But I feel like that's what you cast John Cena for. Now, I don't feel like I need to talk about Hailee Steinfeld for very long because Hailee Steinfeld is an incredible young actress. If you guys have not seen Edge of 17, go and watch Edge of 17. She is like a star, and that movie is incredible. And she's also really fantastic in this movie. You know, if it wasn't for her performance, I don't know, like, if her performance wasn't as good as it is, then you don't buy the relationship between her and Bumblebee, because obviously, you know, they're probably just acting with a tennis ball on a stick. So you need to be able to buy that connection, and her performance is the reason you buy the connection between her and Bumblebee. Okay, so I've talked about how amazing this movie is. Let's talk about some of the nitpicks I have with Bumblebee. They're not major issues, they're just a couple of minor issues I had with this film. So the first thing I didn't really like about this movie, and this is the one thing me and my friend kind of agreed on walking out, the villains of the film were kind of weak. They were just kind of weak. There wasn't really anything to them. I mean, they didn't really need to be the best villains we've ever seen in cinematic history, but I just thought the villains were a little weak, and I wasn't really into them. I didn't really feel their threatening presence, to be quite honest with you. And I feel like the writing for their dialogue in particular was probably one of the weakest points of the script for me. And also, as I said, there are a couple of jokes that don't really work in Bumblebee. One of them is the villains of the film, the Decepticons. They turn people into slime. And the first time that happened, I thought, okay, that's really funny. You know, that was a good gag. But they keep going back to that gag a few times. And eventually it just became not funny anymore. So that was an example of a joke in this movie that didn't really work that well for me. But they are very minor criticisms compared to the rest of this movie. You know, those criticisms are almost null and void because the rest of this movie is really absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. Go and see Bumblebee. Even if you weren't a fan of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, I promise you, you're probably going to have a good time watching Bumblebee. I can't guarantee it because I thought my friend was going to love it, and he ended up hating it.
It's trash.
But that's okay. He's allowed to be wrong. So have you seen Bumblebee? Are you looking forward to Bumblebee? Drop a comment down below. Let me know what your take is on the movie. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so that you and your friends never miss out on my take on all the latest movies. My name is Tom. Thank you very much for watching this review, and I will see you guys next time.